All right, so I had to close out some stuff on the computer, I guess, to get this to work right. Now it seems like it's working great, so apologize for the mess. Everything doesn't look great. Everything's not going to be polished in this video. I'm just going to kind of run with it. And I've seen a lot of negative reviews of the Royal Rumble 2022 that just happened a couple days ago. And I was there live, so I'm going to give you my live experience. And just my experience as a whole from, buying the tickets and, I want to get to the show and the matches itself, but I'm just going to share everything. So I live in Illinois, and I know that the Royal Rumble was in St. Louis a long time ago, and I missed out on that opportunity. I wasn't at a good place in life at that time. But I had already been to SummerSlam in Indiana when they had The Undertaker and Edge in a Hell in a Cell. I've already seen a Raw and SmackDown Super Show in St. Louis a long time ago. And so I've been to a lot of other wrestling shows and stuff, and I've already went to a couple of All Outs in Chicago before this. But I've been a lifelong WWE fan, and I just love wrestling as a whole. But anyway, so I knew that it was St. Louis years ago. I missed out on that opportunity, but now that I've been on my feet making money and stuff, I've been watching wrestling recently and reading the news, and I saw that the Royal Rumble location was announced. I remember looking on my phone, and I was like, if it's in St. Louis, I'm going to go. And it was in St. Louis, and I'm like, when do tickets go on sale? And I found out that the tickets went on sale when I was getting paid, and I was like, awesome, this is going to be great. I can get tickets right when they go on sale, and I'm going to figure everything else out. We're going to book a hotel. I'm going to get 4 tickets, a few friends to go with me. So I took it for granted that I thought a couple of people would go with me because they previously went to wrestling shows with me. One of them being my cousin. I thought that he was going to go for sure. But I think that now that AEW is around, that's all that he wants to watch, and he has like a bias against WWE. So this whole experience has taught me a lot about certain friends and who, I'm going to be hanging out with, going forward, who I'm going to invite to shows, who I'm not. I had a few friends back out. I had to make some arrangements. And like I said, I bought 4 tickets, one for myself and for 3 friends. And I ended up only having 3 of us go. So we had an empty seat because somebody backed out last minute, and it was just too late to get somebody else. But anyway, so I bought tickets as soon as they went on sale on Ticketmaster. I had to work that day. I just got paid. I was waiting in line, and I didn't have a bank account set up at that time. I had to use a prepaid card, and I could only load like 500 on there at a time. I wanted to get tickets ASAP. I didn't know how fast they were going to sell out. I wanted to get good tickets. And I was excited because this was a stadium show, and I've been to a lot of, good pay-per-views before, a lot of good wrestling shows, but I've never been to a show, that was this size or, with this much history. I mean, I did go to SummerSlam, but the Royal Rumble on its own is just, a huge deal. And when I bought the tickets, I thought, it shouldn't be hard to get people to go to the Royal Rumble, especially, if I'm offering for free or whatever, they should be excited and ready to go. But anyway, so I could only load like $500. I didn't know how much, the tax and stuff was going to add up to. I was getting 4 tickets. And so, it was possible that I could get tickets around the $100 range for each of us. I wanted to get something good, but I ended up getting club seats that were like $75 because to get some tickets that were, in the lower bowl below us, I think that they were like 150 or something, and it was going to make it really close, and I didn't want to wait in line again and not have enough money to get the tickets and have to go back. And so I went with these $75 club seats in the 300 section. And I'll show some pictures and videos and stuff on my phone for this. But I'll say that, I don't know how well things will show up, but here is like the part of the stadium. I was in the 305 section, which was, right here. I thought it was pretty decent. You can't really see too well, but it was Not like the nosebleeds, but it wasn't right next to the ring or anything. Anyway, I'd never been in the club section. I usually go for the bowl section, and it looks like when I show my phone that the video is going to slow down majorly, so I don't know how well that's going to work out. Anyway, I bought the tickets. They were like a couple of months before the show, so there was a lot of time of preparing, and I was so excited. I spent a lot leading up to it, planning, and I bought a ton of merch for me and my friends. I don't know if it's going to show up very well, but hoodies and hats and glasses and stuff. The WWE shop has an awesome thing with Klarna where you can do like payments. So I bought a bunch of stuff, and it was on sale, and I was just able to make payments. And that's one thing that sucked about, some people backing out is like, I bought merch, and I wanted to really hook everybody up. So my friends, some of my friends still ended up getting stuff anyways, but I had these gift bags all filled up for everybody. I was just hyped because I've always been a fan of WWE. Like I said, and the Royal Rumble is a huge thing, the 30-man Battle Royal, and now they've got the Women Battle Royal. And when I was a kid growing up, and I recently bought these because I was so excited to go, is that this is the Royal Rumble Super Nintendo game. I got the game, but this is the instruction booklet for it. And I remember playing that when I was a kid, and I think I got this for Christmas or for my birthday one year for the Dreamcast, the Royal Rumble game. And a lot of people might not like this, but I did because it's like an arcade experience, and it was like the SmackDown games on the PlayStation, and it had like a ton of weapons, and you could fight backstage and stuff. So I loved it. So I don't know. I'm going to hop and skip and jump around, but I kind of want to get to the show because I know that's what people want to listen to things about and stuff. So I was going to drive. A lot of times I try to get other people to drive if we're going to Chicago or something. I live in a small town. I don't like driving in big traffic and stuff. And so I thought St. Louis was kind of intimidating, but I wanted to go so bad that I was going to pay for everything. If people wanted to pay me back, they could. But I was going to give people a free ride. I just wanted to go and have the time of my life and share it with my friends. And so, I decided I'm going to drive. I'm going to pay for this. This is something that I want to do, and I'm going to make sure that I do it. But the drive to St. Louis was awesome. The traffic, there was like no traffic. The weather, there was like all the snows melted and everything. The roads were great. It was actually really nice weather-wise that day, like 30, 40 degrees, sunny. So, like I said, I had some friends back out on me, really surprising. Some friends, that instantly told me, they kind of were interested, and then some that told me that they were going to go, and then they backed out. And one that told me he was going to go for the whole 2 months and backed out the last day. And he said, "Oh, I thought the pay-per-view was on Sunday, not a Saturday." Anyway, so what ended up happening was I met a friend. I lived about 2 hours away from where I live now before, and I made some friends. And I asked one of my friends there if he wanted to go, and I was like, you can go, but I'm not going to pick you up. Like, you got to find a way to get here. So he ended up getting a train to St. Louis. So he lived in Champaign, and the train had like a delay or a detour or whatever, and he had to like go to Bloomington and then go to St. Louis. So he had like this long train ride. But he made it. He rode the train to St. Louis and back. I had a hotel booked, and the hotel was the Missouri Athletic Club. And I want to talk about that really quick, too, because I was really worried. I had a lot of sleepless nights worrying about my tickets. Are they going to be too high up? We're not going to see the ring. It's just going to be a terrible experience. What about the hotel? The walls are really thin, and it's old, and you can hear everybody in the other rooms, and you can, the place is dirty, whatever. Or they're jerks because of they want you to dress nice. It's like a fancy hotel and blah, 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 blah. And so when I got there, I was amazed because the hotel was really nice. They weren't really telling people to wear their masks and stuff. Of course, a lot of people might be vaccinated and stuff now, but I was kind of worried about that too. How forceful are they going to be about that? They weren't. They were all friendly. They were all relaxed. It was really clean in there. Everybody in there was nice. I loved the hotel rooms. And I'll say one complaint is that they have a lounge, and my friend wanted to get a drink, so we went to the lounge while we were waiting on the other friend from the train to come in. And he ordered a drink, and I'm like, I'll just take a water. And they gave me like a carbonated water or whatever. I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, oh, this tastes like craft. So I still gave the guy like a $2 tip for the water because, I don't know, it seemed like the right thing to do. It was really fancy place. But yeah, that water sucks. So if anybody from there watches this, if somebody asks for water, they probably just want water, not carbonated, whatever that was. But anyway, I had, my mom helped me a lot with this too. I had a lot of help, money-wise and different things. But she helped me get a lot of snacks and stuff beforehand for the drive. I didn't really want to stop and eat a lot of places. So we bought like beef sticks, and I had Gatorade. And, things aren't showing up really on the camera, but I had like some energy drinks and different things. So I didn't really eat a whole lot until after the event, but it was nice to snack on these things. But anyway, like I said, okay, so I didn't really eat a whole lot. I don't know what all I ate before I went that morning, but I had like 2 energy drinks, and then I took a caffeine pill. I bought these caffeine pills because I just wanted to make sure that I was awake and not gonna, be asleep, be alert, do this thing. But having so much caffeine and sugar and not a lot of food in your stomach and stuff, you start to kind of get a headache. And it's like that carbonated water was like, oh, it was brutal. I was like, man, this is going to kill me, but it was all right. So I'm all over the place. My friend made it there in time. So the doors opened at 4:30. We made it to the hotel at like 2:30 because we left around like 11 or something. It was like 2.5 hours to get there, and we did stop at the gas station and different things. But and I was kind of waiting, trying to get another friend to go last minute. But so it was just me and another friend driving there, and then another friend met us. And he said, we were trying to be like, well, when are you going to get here? Because he was going to arrive a little later than he thought. And I'm like, hurry up. And he said he ran through the train station. It reminded him of Home Alone. But he made it. He was there like by 4. We ended up walking over. He had to leave his bags and stuff at the hotel. I gave him some of the merch, and my other friend, they had hoodies and hats and stuff. So we got all geared up, and we went to walk in line. And there was some people in the elevators that we would meet in the hotel because we were like on the 9th floor. And, they were like, are you going to the show and stuff? And they were excited, and they were complimenting our merch. And I bought these Royal Rumble hoodies. And they're like, oh, did you get that at the merch table? And my friend's like, no, my buddy got them like online. And she's like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, get them, online before the show or whatever. It's like, yeah, I know. I don't always like going to the merch tables at the shows. It's nice, like the idea of it. But then when you go up there, like they don't usually have a good selection, or, the only sizes that they have are like XXXL or whatever else. So I'm like, when I go to these shows, I just like to buy stuff online and go. And it's still like, okay, I wore it there. Like, so it's still cool. You don't necessarily have to buy it there to make it special. When we got there, they did give us these little towels, these little hand towels that say that I rumbled. And I wanted to show more pictures. Maybe I can make another video and show them on the computer. But we had these I rumbled towels, and I've got mine hanging up back there on the wall. But you can't really see it that well right here. I guess I can adjust the camera, but you can see it there in the corner. So that was cool. Always take some free stuff. Anyways, let's talk about, I guess, when I walked over to I don't even know if I'm going to bother showing pictures anymore, because unfortunately it's not going to work out too well. We're already at 15 minutes, but we walked over to the event. And like I said, I've been to a lot of wrestling shows. I went to All Out, and the lines for that show, that was like a 10,000, 15,000 seat arena in Chicago or whatever. This is a stadium. And they had sold, at least like 40,000 tickets. And so I was excited just for the size of the show. And there were lines on the street all over the place. And as we were walking to our entry, because there was like entries in each corner of the stadium. So we walked to where, the closest to where our area was. And when we got there, luckily the line that we were in wasn't too big. And they started moving like right away. And we got in pretty easily. But just seeing the long lines of people, it was just awesome. We were all excited. And there was like people playing drums in the street, which made it even cooler. It's just like an experience. It's just like, wow, I've never done an event like this. And we got in, and then we went through the metal detectors. I showed him the tickets. I had 4 tickets. And he's like, 4 tickets, like only 3 people. Like, yeah. It's like, okay. He's like, where's the 4th person or whatever? I'm like, no, this is what we got. So, we had to go up escalators. We were in section 300, so we went up 2 or 3 flights of escalators. And when we got to the club section, only the club people are allowed there. So I had to show my tickets again to get into that section. And there was different areas up there. They had a merch table up there, and they also had concessions. And we ended up walking around the whole thing. My buddy wanted to get some merch, and we were walking around seeing what merch they had. And he was thinking about going back down to the bottom floor to see if they had more merch there, different stuff. And but then they'd have to see the tickets to come back up and stuff. So he just decided to stay up top. But we walked around the whole area. It was a long walk. I was like, oh my God. We went to the bathrooms, and we didn't have to wait in line or anything. It was awesome. And, I love that, I might get club section seats more, because at first, and we got there early too, and there wasn't a lot of people, but, there's less people in the club section altogether. But it's also because we were there early, but, there was no lines, which was awesome, because the All Outs that I went to Chicago and a lot of other wrestling events, there's just major lines just to go to the bathroom. It sucks. So not a fan of that. So I didn't end up eating anything at the event. My friends got some drinks, and I just stuck it out. But, they have like, so there was like the club section, like the hallways with all the concessions and stuff. And then there was like doors and big windows where you walk out to your section, and they had like the section numbers above them. And we'd walk up to the windows and kind of see the view of like what we were going to see. We could see like the entrance and the ring and everything. And we're just like, wow, these are going to be awesome seats. Because, we can see stuff. We can see the ring and everything from up here. So we were just really happy already. And we got in our seats. And, I'm probably giving too many pointless details that nobody cares about. But I'm just trying to remember some things to talk about. Well, we got there, the doors open at 4:30, like I said. The show didn't start until 6. Well, the kickoff started at 6. So that's when they run down matches. And usually they have a match on the kickoff show, but they didn't. So the real pay-per-view didn't start until like 7. And, we were there. We were inside, 5:30, whatever. We're waiting for the kickoff show. And when it comes to 6 o'clock, they start the kickoff show. And every now and then they turn the lights on and stuff. But there was no matches. There was nothing for us besides commercials every now and then. And they would turn on the lights and stuff when they would come back live. But they were showing, the match card for the people who watched it at home, they were seeing the build up to the pay-per-view. But we didn't really see anything, just the commercials every now and then. That was kind of disappointing. That was a long hour. Like, are we going to get anything? We didn't. They didn't even have the announcers come out with music or anything before the show started. I was surprised because, like I said, I've been to other shows. Usually you get something on the kickoff show for the live audience. We didn't. I guess they just wanted the arena to fill up and before they started filming everything. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was with that, but it was okay. It was what it was. We had to sit there for an hour. So when the show came on, we were ready to go. And so the last show I went to before this was All Out in Chicago. The last one where Daniel Bryan debuted and everything. All Out 2021. And I like the other All Out that I went to more than that personally, but it was a fun show. But one of the things that I remember about that was I really loved the audience, because the audience was really into it, and some of the chanting, and when they would stomp their feet in the bleachers or whatever, the seats, and it was rumbling, and it was like a surreal experience. It was like an out-of-body experience. It's like I'm here live, and like this crowd is going nuts, and like I can feel it, I can hear it. It's like, you're part of it. And I'm sure it's happened a lot of other shows, but it was really noticeable there. And I definitely had this for the Rumble, because this was, a larger audience than I've ever been a part of. Before the show even started, of course, people were going, woo, woo, and just all over the place. But there was a time when they were like doing it in unison. It was just like, woo, whoa. And me and my friend looked at each other. We're just like grinning ear to ear. It's like, yeah, like we're here. Like this is the Rumble. Like this is real. Like you can hear that crowd. You can feel it. And we're like, man, you're just looking around, just massive rows of people just going all the way up on both sides, all over on the floor. It was incredible. And so the show started, and let's see. So the show started with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, which was pretty huge, because none of us really expected that match was going to be first. I was kind of thinking Brock and Lashley would be, but Roman was the first one to come out as soon as the show opened. We're like, oh boy, here we go. This is like the biggest thing, like right here, right now, we're getting to see it. And Roman's pyro was amazing. This is another thing. I've never experienced, a pay-per-view like this with, as large of an audience as it had. And with, a legacy like this. Like I went to SummerSlam, was the closest thing, but also with the pyro, I've never experienced a wrestling show with pyro like this. Like this was phenomenal. The pyro was awesome. And Roman Reigns was awesome, because they had pillars on the four corners of the rings on the outside, because they had like videos screens above the ring so everybody could see, from further away and stuff. So they had this rig set up, and these pillars, they had like lights all over them. It was just amazing. That was the one thing that kind of sucked about our view, but it's not really a big deal. So like one of the pillars was kind of in front of one of the corners that we were at, because we were like at an angle of the ring, and we were behind the WrestleMania sign that they point to. Like when the Rumble winner wins, they point to the WrestleMania sign, like I'm going to WrestleMania. But anyway, so this rig, there was pyro going off on it. Like Roman's like came off the top of it, and it was just like, it was like coming out like this, like it was just like huge. It was loud, and it's just like boom, 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 just going all around us. Like, oh my god, it's like, it's just incredible. You're just there and just like taking all this in. Like, man. Anyway, and then so I'm already blown away that we're starting off with Roman Reigns. His entrance is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then Seth Rollins comes out and they play the Shield music, and we're like looking towards the entrance, and we're like, oh my god, what? And he comes to the audience. We're like looking for him. They shine the spotlight where he is. Like I recorded a lot of people's entrances and stuff, so I'm like looking on my phone, and I see the spotlight over there, and I look over there, and he comes out, and I see like the people are like, oh my god, just like freaking out, jumping up and down. Like they're like, I didn't expect, like Rollins to be like right here next to me and everything. I was like, oh man, that is so cool. And the entire arena is just going nuts. The stadium. So the stadium holds like 80,000 people or something for like football games or whatever. They used to have football there. But they only had like one section, one side of it for the Royal Rumble. So they had like a huge like tarp or whatever, like covering up the other half. That match was awesome. And I think Rollins put Reigns through the announce table, like pretty close to the beginning, and it's just like, man, this is wild. It's out of control, and it was a good match. There was close calls both ways, and then Roman Reigns got Rollins in a hold, and he wouldn't let go, and he got disqualified. He's a bad guy, and he got ticked off, and he got a chair, and he just started beating Rollins with the chair over and over. And I'm like, oh my god, this is the way it's going to end, man. But it was an awesome match. So, love that. And then we start the women's 2022 Royal Rumble. Everybody's ready and excited to see a Royal Rumble match. That's why we're there. And it was really fun. They had a lot of old people came back. Sasha Banks came out number 1. I was surprised. I was almost worried Sasha Banks wasn't going to be there at all. But then she showed up on SmackDown and said she was going to be there. Then they had her at number 1. And she didn't last, really long. Lasted for a while. But so there was a lot of big surprises and just a lot of fun moments. I remember Liv Morgan getting a pretty big pop from the audience, and I was surprised. But Ronda Rousey came back. That was the big news of the night, and she won it. And she had a huge reaction when she came out. I don't know. I guess I won't go into the match as a whole a lot, but it was great. So it was just cool to experience live, somebody else coming out. It seemed like they were coming out really fast. They said 90 seconds, but maybe it's just because I was there live. I don't know, but it seemed like sometimes it's just like, here comes another one, here comes another one. It's like, oh man, they're just getting through this. But so when Ronda Rousey won, she pointed towards the sign, and a lot of pyro went off. And I think that that's when it caught on fire a little bit. I remember people being like, oh, the sign's on fire. Do you see that? And they're like, there's a fire or something. I'm like, I don't see anything. Well, I don't know how big it was. We were kind of far away, so it didn't look as big. But the WrestleMania sign caught on fire a little bit, and it was like melting. It was like dripping. And so they had to like clear out the floor section below it and lower it. And they sprayed it with fire extinguisher spray. And this was going on during Becky Lynch and Doudrop's match. So these women came out, and I was thinking, their match might be pretty good, but it's definitely not going to be the match of the night or anything. But I thought, it's probably better than her match with Liv. But because it followed the Women's Royal Rumble match and because of this WrestleMania fire incident, their match did not get like a crowd reaction at all. I was like, oh my God. I was like, you can hear a pin drop, you can hear crickets, like nobody's cheering or booing or chanting. It's just like people were leaving to go to concessions, to go to the bathroom, because the Royal Rumble match is a long match because there's like 30 entrants into it. So, it can be like an hour-long match. I don't know how long this one was, but, people got up and they didn't really care about this match that much, or they weren't interested. And it was hard for me to get invested. We're all looking at the WrestleMania sign, or they're trying to spray it and get it back up and everything. And yeah, and Becky Lynch, I was excited to see her, and she's had a lot of crazy outfits and hairdos lately, and some pretty cool, but pretty crazy. But I wasn't really digging the way that she looked this night. It was different, but it's like, what in the world? But yeah, that was the lowest point of the night, the Becky Lynch Doudrop match, and that's just because it followed the Rumble match, and because of the circumstances that happened, it was just hard to get invested to it or care at all. So because I was kind of far away, I was watching the ring a lot. I could see a lot. Like, there were good seats, but when the ring started filling up with the women, sometimes I'd have to look at the big screens to kind of tell what's going on or who's where, because there'd be so many people in the ring, and it's a little bit far away, and it's like, so the screens are nice to see. But after that, they had, I don't remember which match was next, but I think that it was Brock and Bobby Lashley at that point. I might have that in the Miz and Maurice one. mixed up. I don't know. But anyways, the Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar match was the dream match that everybody wanted to see, and I thought it was pretty good. It was different than what I thought. I thought it was going to be like boom, boom, boom. It was going to be over, but it lasted a little longer. They tested each other. They tried to wrestle. They were doing moves to each other. Bobby Lashley was going to spear Lesnar through the barricade, but Lesnar moved, so it was something different. So Lashley got hurt himself. But they ended up doing a ref bump where the ref got knocked out, and then Roman Reigns came back out, and Paul Heyman gave him the title, and he knocked out Brock Lesnar, and Bobby Lashley won the title. And Paul Heyman left with Roman Reigns, so that was a huge moment of Paul Heyman turning on Brock Lesnar. And so a lot of story there. So I thought it was a good match and a cool ending. And let's see. So the Edge and Beth Phoenix and Miz and Marie's tag match was cool. I thought Edge had one of the best entrances. They had all the lights going, all the laser lights, the explosions by the entranceway and everything. It was just incredible. I thought we got everything that we wanted to see in that match. You know, I wanted to see Beth Phoenix slam The Miz and stuff, and she did. And, you know, it was just a good mixed tag match. And, you know, it gave us, you know, what we wanted, I guess. So the men's rumble is what a lot of people are disappointed on. And so I want to say that the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I can't believe the incredible amount of hate for the show. Like I said, I was there live, so maybe I was biased, but I thought it was a good show. And the hate is just massive because Ronda and Brock won the Rumbles, the two UFC stars, and they won. Everybody wants to see somebody else win. Well, the men's Rumble match I thought was pretty awesome. It started out with AJ and Nakamura, which was amazing. And then Austin Theory came out. We all kind of wanted to see how Austin Theory was going to do, and that was a good, awesome 3 to have in the beginning. And then Bobby Roode came out, and that was an awesome 4 to have in there. And AJ and Bobby Roode were having a stare down, and the fans were chanting TNA, TNA, and it was great. I loved Johnny Knoxville's segment. Everybody was looking forward to Johnny Knoxville coming out. He was awesome. And later on, Bad Bunny came out. He was a surprise. The biggest surprise of the night, I think, was Drew McIntyre coming out because people didn't think he was going to be healed. People expected a lot more surprises and stuff. That's why they're disappointed as well. But I think their expectations were just kind of out of whack. But I loved Shane McMahon. I loved seeing Shane come in. That was awesome. Brock came in at the end and wrecked everybody and won it. And so Roman Reigns screwed Brock Lesnar out of his title, but now Brock Lesnar can challenge Roman Reigns for his title. And that makes me excited to see what's going to happen tonight on Raw and what's going to happen on SmackDown. And so, you know, after the show, we walked back. The walk back was easy and everything. It was fun. Somebody liked my Raw jacket, and they're like, hey, do you want to trade? They had like an empty belt bag, like a title belt. And they're like, here, I'll trade you my empty belt bag. I was like, oh, no, thanks. Like, where do you get that? It's like WWE shop. It's a chalk line jacket. And when we were walking, you know, in the streets to the apartment, there's a guy behind me. He's like, what's this guy's name? And he's like, what's his name? And they're like, Brandon. And he's like, hey, Brandon, how about we start a rumble out here? Like, we take on everybody. He's like, come on, like, let's do it. And I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea. But we got back to the hotel, and I started watching the Royal Rumble on Peacock so I could see what it looked like from TV. And we were really hungry, so I found a place to order Papa John's. So I ordered, you know, a large all-meat pizza with garlic sauce and 2-liter soda. And we were up until about 2 or 3 in the morning. And it took like over an hour to get that pizza. I waited a while. I called them back. I'm like, yeah, what happened to my order? They're like, it's coming out of the oven now. I'm like, an hour ago I ordered it. But, man, It was so nice. The hotel too was quiet at night. It was quiet. It was clean, friendly. And my friend went down to the lounge to get some drinks, and he said people were smoking down there, which is surprising in Missouri that they get smoking there, because in Illinois you can't smoke like inside buildings. And one of my other friends smokes, and he went outside the building to smoke. He's like, well, you could have went to the lounge, like everybody was smoking down there. Like, okay. But, you know, we woke up pretty early and we got out of there, and it was easy leaving. My friend got up early and he had to walk and go to the train station. He ended up getting an Uber or whatever. But, you know, and the other night I was sitting at home and in bed, and I was like, man, just the other night, you know, I was at the hotel, like I was on top of the world. Like I wasn't worried about bills. I wasn't thinking about money. I wasn't thinking about work. I just had the time of my life, and I loved it. And the pyro was amazing. The audience was amazing. Everybody was fun. The only thing that I thought that kind of sucked about the show was the Becky Lynch Dewdrop match, and that was because of just the circumstances of where it was on the card and what happened with the WrestleMania sign and everything. I think a lot of people are bent out of shape about stuff with the show. So it was really entertaining. You know, we had fun. Had a blast counting down, and the stuff with Omos, the giant, you know, they're trying to get him out, and he was swatting people like flies, knocking them down. All the special entrants in the Royal Rumble and the women's match, Mickie James coming out with her Impact Women's title and coming out to her hardcore country song. You know, she's the champion for another company, and WWE called her and had her come back and do this match and let her bring her title from the other company and stuff. That's not something that WWE really does. So that was pretty awesome. And so, you know, I'm always just kind of optimistic. But another thing was in the men's Rumble match was Kofi Kingston usually does these spots where he gets tossed outside the ring, but he manages to not have his feet touch the floor, and he finds a way to get in. Like one time, you know, he got on an office chair by the announce table, and he like pogoed to the ring, and then he got back in. Like, wow, like Kofi's like smart. He's like athletic, and he can figure out crafty ways to not get disqualified. And well, this time he was going to do something, but his feet accidentally touched the floor, and a ref came over to him, and he's like, no, you're out. And so Kofi was like not in there at all for very long. But like, that's cool. Like, you know, a lot of people are down and stuff like that too. I'm like, this is the whole reason of a live show. It's like the good and the bad. Like, yeah, the WrestleMania sign caught fire, but like nobody was hurt. They took care of it. Yeah, Kofi messed up big time. But you know what? That's what makes the show even more special. Like, and I was there live, and like, remember that Rumble where the WrestleMania sign caught fire, like in St. Louis? Yeah, I was there. Remember when Kofi like blew his spot and messed up horribly? Yeah. But you know, I think just watching the show from home, you know, I had friends that were watching it. My mom watched it. I wanted my mom to watch it and enjoy it with me. And when I came back, she was like, "Yeah, I watched it. Like, you know, Roman Reigns beat Seth with the chair, and you know, this happened in the Women's Rumble. Like, she enjoyed it. Like, what's wrong with you people? I don't know what people want. I don't know why everybody just is so down on the WWE. They just don't like the WWE. They don't like Vince McMahon, and you know, they just can't enjoy wrestling. I mean, there's no other wrestling company out there like WWE. I'm sorry, you don't want to agree, but they are the kings of wrestling." And that's the way that it's going to be. And they've got the best stars of, you know, of this generation. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I lost my voice, you know, yelling, screaming. Man, it was fun. I'm always going to remember it and think about it. And it's not going to be around here like this again. Like it took like 10 years for them to come back to St. Louis, and I could be wrong, but you know, another thing is with the AEW shows in Chicago and everything, they're all requiring vaccinations or, you know, proof of a negative COVID test or whatever. They didn't do any of that crap in St. Louis. So places like that, they're not going to get my money or a lot of other people's. And, you know, I'm not saying I won't ever get vaccinated, but I'm not going to get vaccinated just to go to a wrestling show. You know, there are better other reasons to get vaccinated, but people are still getting COVID that have the vaccination, so it makes no sense to me. Why? But I just, and that's another thing is because of COVID, we had a year or more of like shutdown to where like everything was shut down. Like sometimes you couldn't even go to the store or, we had to be inside and like all the events were shut down. So when I knew this like the biggest wrestling show event that's really close to me, that's only like a few hours away, I'm like, I'm going for sure. This isn't going to happen again. This is pretty much like a once in a lifetime thing. I really do want to go to WrestleMania 39. I'm thinking about it in Los Angeles. That would be a big thing, but I'd have to pay for the tickets, but then you have to pay for the flight and everything. You're going to fly into Los Angeles. It's a ways from me, but I'm thinking about it. So I might be making a video about how my WrestleMania experience was, because now that I've been to SummerSlam, now that I've been to the Royal Rumble, it's like, why not go all out and go to the big show? To really live out my dream and finally say I was there. But it's really surreal that I was at a Royal Rumble. And was it the greatest Royal Rumble of all time? Probably not, but it definitely wasn't the worst. And I mean, it was really good. I think it was up there. I don't know how it would be ranked, but the whole card was solid, and I thought the Rumble matches were decent. Maybe the women's match was better than the men's match, but the men's match wasn't like as terrible as everybody says it is. It was fun. Johnny Knoxville and Bad Bunny were probably the best celebrity entrants into the Rumble ever, and there was 2 of them in one night. So, I don't know. Randy Orton is from St. Louis. He got a huge pop when he came out. And Riddle did too, and they're in a tag team together. Riddle got a huge pop. But after the show, Randy Orton came out, played his music. Him and Riddle both came out. He and Randy was like, thank you, thank you for coming. And they went out and they posed for pictures and everything. So that was cool. And we stayed there and we watched them as like the fans were leaving. There's probably so much more that could be said about it, but yeah, that was my experience, as a whole, was just that it was a dream come true. And I'm going to be living off those memories for years to come. And I'm glad of the friends that got to join me. I'm glad of all the people that got to go. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think about it, I guess. So, all right, guys. Hey, have a good one. And I think that's all I'm going to say, because I could ramble on and on, but everybody's probably tuned out now. I don't know. It was awesome. I loved it. All right. Peace out. Bye.